name's James, and this is your 26-foot 2018 Sunseeker Go RV. Now, a lot of you have had RVs or used RVs before, but not all of you. So what I'm going to do is just try to take you through a quick rundown of your awesome rental RV from Go RV. We'll start on the outside, right at the front door. Very straightforward. Door handle's right there. This is the deadbolt. Always use the deadbolt for security purposes, whether you're living in it or storing it at a park and you're leaving, because you want to make sure you keep everything safe. This just locks the handle. Again, that's just the handle unlock. That locks the handle. This is the deadbolt. This is vital. Always use the deadbolt. Screen door separates very straightforward. Locks into place right there. It's spring loaded, so it stays open. Before we continue on our tour outside, what I want to do is show you the most important feature for the RV, and that's actually right here at the door. This is your on-off switch for the entire motorhome. So when you're using the motorhome, it needs to be rotated to the on position. If you're done, you're not using it, turn it off. That turns off all the power, but basically, using the motorhome, that needs to be on. All right, we'll continue on the outside here. This is just a hold back for the door. That's its whole purpose, is to hold the door open. Right here is your propane tank. Now this is something you'll definitely want to see if you're not familiar with this. It looks completely foreign, but it works just like a normal barbecue cylinder. This is the valve for it. All the way counterclockwise is on, all the way clockwise is off. Okay, if you get confused, it's written right on the handle right there. Okay, if you're using the motorhome, this needs to be on so your propane appliances work. If you ever need to fill up the propane tank, you're going to have to go to a service station that can fill them up, and this is where it's going to get filled, right at this yellow cap. So wherever you service station you pull into, make sure you pull this next to the pump on this side of the motorhome. They're going to fill it up for you. You're not going to fill it up. The nice thing about it is you have a sight gauge right here, lets you know how much propane is in the motorhome or in the propane tank. It generally won't ever read above 3/4, so if it doesn't ever get above 3/4, when it's full, it's full. You can also check the level inside at the monitor panel, and I will show you where that's at. Right here, you just have a 12-volt outlet, and this is an outside TV cable hookup, so you probably won't be using this. These, though, are your 110 outlets. So if you want to hook up a TV or an extension cord, run some lighting, you can plug in right here, but you either have to be plugged in with shore power or running the generator. All right, this does not get battery power. You need 110 power to operate. This is on a GFCI outlet. So if you don't have power here, but you have power inside, check that little reset button on the outlet. I'll show you where that's at. There's nothing really to see right here. This is just the exhaust where the furnace comes out of. So when the furnace is running, hot air is going to come out of there. This is the water heater. Now this water heater on this RV allows you to make hot water with either 110 electricity, or you can use propane. All the controls for the water heater are on the inside. I'll show you where that's at. Right here on an RV you have a potable freshwater storage tank. So you can bring fresh water with you wherever you're going. It's a nice feature. This is how you're going to fill up that fresh water tank. This is your drinking potable water, okay? You just take the garden hose, put it up into here, and fill it up. Once it's full, it's going to start to come back out of here anyways. And you can also check the level inside to let you know how much fresh water is in the tank on the monitor panel, which I will show you inside. Again, your great big basement storage is right in here. There's a shelf up here for your igloo or icebox. So this is your power cord, your shore cord to hook up to city water, or not city water, city power or shore power. So what you have to do is line up the pegs right there, give it about a quarter turn, and you can tighten up that thumb right there. On the other end, this is a 30 amp 110 plug. At a park or a campground, they're going to ask possibly if you have 50 amp or 30 amp, you have 30 amp. Now what you can also use is this adapter right here. When you put this adapter on, it'll plug into a standard house 110 outlet, but this is 15 amp. So it's important if you're using this, you cannot run the roof AC. If you're hooked up to 30 amp, you can run the roof AC. So here we are. This is your city water connection for when you're hooked up maybe at your house or at a park or a campground that provides city water. All you're going to do is take the hose, screw the hose straight onto here, and turn the faucet on. Now, in your kit, you should have been provided a pressure regulator. It's just a brass pressure regulator. You can either put it on this end or put it on the faucet end. That just keeps the pressure from getting too high so you don't damage any of the plumbing. This is your wastewater system or your sewer system. On an RV, you have what's called a black tank and a gray tank. A black tank is wastewater from the toilet, and a gray tank is wastewater from like your sinks in your shower. So you're carrying around your sewage with you. You have your sewer hose right here. If you look down into here, you should be able to see. You're going to take this off right here and pull it out. All right, you'll push this in and then lock those down on both sides, and now you've hooked up your sewer hose. Now, one key thing I will tell you is always assume there's a little bit of sewage in here. So if you have gloves, always be wearing gloves or get some gloves. To empty the tanks, all you do, again, hook up your sewer hose. You're going to run this in to what's called a dump port. Most parks or campgrounds are going to have a dump port. Just put that in there. You're going to have to open this valve too. Drain your black tank first, and then follow up with your gray tank. To do that, all you have to do is pull straight out on these handles. To close it, push straight in on the handle. The last things we need to talk about is only use RV marine style toilet paper down the toilet. It's going to save a lot of hassles if you do it correctly. And then you should be given some chemicals to put down in the black tank. So each time you dump the black tank, you're going to have to add more chemicals after you close the valve. All right. The good news, again, is there a monitor panel inside to tell you how full the tanks are getting. Right here, this is where you're going to fill up with gasoline. This is gasoline only, okay? Do not put water in here and do not put gasoline anywhere else. Just gasoline right here. The generator runs off the same fuel from the same tank as the engine. There's really nothing for you to do right here. This is just service access for the refrigerator. Again, more storage under here. Make sure you're using the key to lock the compartment. Keep yourself safe. Here's that freshwater hose for hooking up for the city water. Right here is going to be one of the most important things to know about because it's the best feature about an RV and your RV in general. This is your onboard generator. So you can dry camp without being hooked up to city power, or you can have 110 power wherever you go. You can start it from the outside, you can start it from the inside. Either one's the exact same, but I do want to show you a few features underneath here. You won't have to be worrying about checking the oil level. You won't have to worry about servicing it. But if you go to start it, you're going to hit the start button here. To stop it, just hit the stop button. Now, if it's been a while or you ran it out of fuel, you might have to do what's called priming it. To prime it, you just hit the stop button and hold it down. That red light will come on, and then it's going to prime the system. Hold it down for about 5 seconds, and then it should start no problem. Now, the most important thing I want you to be aware of is right here, because it's hidden. There's a little lever right there. That is the circuit breaker. If you're running the generator and you never get any power inside, or all of a sudden you lost power, make sure that this breaker is in the on position. It's on when it's towards you. Other than that, when the generator is running, this is the exhaust. So keep anything flammable away from it, high grass, or anything you might be storing next to it. The good news is we're almost done outside. Because you can't see it from the outside or the inside so well, you have your park brake right here. The park brake's the third pedal. It's absolutely vital you operate this park brake or else your slide outs won't work, okay? So just get in the habit of always putting the park brake on. Just push it on right there, release it with the handle right above. Right here is, of course, your hood release. Just like all cars, you do have 2 fuse boxes. One's located under the firewall or under the dash, and one's located under the hood. Again, that's strictly for the Ford chassis. This little weird button right there, this is actually a really cool feature. So on an RV, I'll show you the, you have two sets of batteries. I'll show you where the other set of batteries are. Let's say the engine battery that's under the hood is dead. You can actually use the RV batteries to start the motorhome. Okay, just make sure that on switch is on that I showed you at the entry door. You just push and hold that down. Now you can start the engine, the actual chassis engine, with those house batteries. Once the engine started and running, just go ahead and release that and you should be good to go. So it's just like having a set of jumper cables built in. Now the great news is you don't have to do anything under here. We take care of the servicing for you. We check all the fluids, make sure you're safe and ready to go on your trip. But in the odd chance that you do blow a fuse, this is where that fuse box is located, right under here. This is strictly for the Ford chassis. Has nothing to do with the motorhome side. If for some reason the engine battery goes dead and you need to jump start, you need a roadside service to help you out, or this is the engine battery, this is where they're going to hook the jumper cables up here, right here. Again, just a nice little storage compartment, so you can bring just about everything you need, and then some. So that is the exterior of your 2018 Sunseeker. Before we go inside, I'm going to show you those batteries I told you I'd show you. These are actually your house batteries, what are known as your house batteries. They operate all the lighting and appliances inside. Right there. Behind this panel, there's not a lot to see. There are some fuses, and they're actually circuit breakers. So if these are tripped, the little white button right here will pop out. Just push it back in, that'll reset it. These are not common ones for you to have to check, but it tells you right on the back side of that panel what everything's for. All right, I'm going to stop you right there because I want to point out your fire extinguisher. Your fire extinguisher is right here. It's located right by the front door. Use this to fight all fires, but do get everybody out safely first. All right, come on in, join me. What I'm going to do is run this slide out first, so we have a little bit more walking around space, so you don't get too claustrophobic. To run the slide out, again, that switch needs to be on, the park brake needs to be on. You come up here to your monitor panel. This is basically the control center for the motorhome. Just run the slide out by hitting the out button. You see it's moving very easily. Before you operate the slide out, always make sure you have room on the outside so it doesn't hit anything. Same way when you're bringing it inside, make sure you don't drag anything across the floor, damaging the floor, because that can ruin your vacation. So I don't know if you can hear that clicking sound. That's a normal sound, and you want to hear that sound. Okay, so don't worry about that sound. You want to run it until you get that clicking sound. The rest of your monitor panel is pretty straightforward. Your gray, right here is actually your monitor panel. You can check your holding tanks. Your gray is your wastewater from your sinks and your shower. Black is your wastewater from your toilet. Fresh is, of course, your potable drinking water. All you do is push the button, and over here these lights act as a bar graph. So if I hit fresh, it says it's at 1/3. Battery shows you your voltage. So battery voltage doesn't use this side of the column, it uses this side. So you have charging, good, fair, and low. So the charging light should be on when you're plugged in or running the generator. Good is when your battery's fully charged, and then fair is when you're using it pretty much. Low just means you're running out of battery down there. Of course, right here is where you turn your water heater on electric. You need to be plugged into shore power or running your generator. Give it about 20 minutes to start or to get hot water. Right here's where you make hot water with your propane water heater. So you get to decide if you want to make hot water with electric or with gas. With gas, you're just using propane. You do not have to be plugged in. You can be dry camping. So to use gas, make sure your propane's turned on. You do have propane. Just turn the switch on. You usually can hear it light. If it doesn't light, this little red light above here that says DSI fault will turn on. That just means it didn't light. If it didn't light, make sure your propane's turned on. Go to the stove, light the stove until it stays lit. Turn it off and back on, and that'll reset it. Again, give it about 20 minutes to get your water warm. You can leave these switches in the on position. As the water gets cold, it'll warm itself back up again. Just hit one of these switches at a time. Don't leave both of them on. It'll default to whatever one got turned on first. Your water pump turns the water pump on just like it sounds. So the water pump is going to take water out of that potable fresh water tank, pressurize all the plumbing, the freshwater plumbing, so you have pressurized water at all your faucets. You're going to use this when you're dry camping, and really just when you're dry camping. If you're at a park hooked up to the park water supply, you're not going to be using the water pump. So again, all you'll do is turn that on. As the water pump comes up to pressure, it turns itself off. As you start using pressure, it'll turn itself back on again. So you just turn that on and leave it on. Those are just, of course, light switches. You can start the generator right here. It works just the exact same way as that outside start switch. I'm going to turn the, or shut the door now. Okay. So now that we got the generator going, the generator has an automatic transfer switch, so it's going to transfer power. So you don't have to plug anything in. Once the generator turns on and starts running, you're going to get 110 power inside the motorhome. So if you don't get power, check that breaker outside that I told you about. All right. It's going to be maybe a 30-second, 1 minute delay before you get power inside. See, there we go. So if you're timing me, now you know how much time it's going to take. You see the microwave has power now. All right. So your refrigerator works completely different than a residential refrigerator. To make it cold inside, it produces heat outside, and it has two sources of heat. One is a 110 heating element, kind of like a light bulb. The other one is a propane burner. So the first thing you're going to do is turn it on. Now, when you turn it on, right now it says auto. In the auto mode, which is the mode we recommend you always leave it in, it's going to look for 110 power first. If it doesn't find 110 power, it'll then switch to propane. Now, provided the propane's turned on and you do have propane, it'll light the propane and get your refrigerator cold. If you get where you're going, you plug in and restore 110 power, it'll then switch to 110. This little check light right here just tells you something went wrong. It's got not what went wrong. So if it turns on, it usually means it didn't find 110 power or it didn't light on propane. All you have to do is turn it off. Make sure you have propane turned on or you're plugged into 110, and then turn it back on again. That'll reset the check light and then it'll operate. Now if you want to run it in gas and gas mode only, you're just going to push this button right here. It takes it out of auto mode and puts it into gas mode. It's not going to look for 110 ever. It's only going to work on propane. So we do not recommend you put it in gas mode. We recommend you leave it in automatic mode here at Go RV. There's two other very important things to remember about with this RV refrigerator. One is it's going to take about 12 hours for the compartments to get cold enough to have food in it. All right, so that's normal. So you want to give it about a 12-hour head start before you start loading it with food. The second most important thing is you do not want to operate this refrigerator at a level. So if you're parked for a prolonged period of time and you're running the refrigerator, do make sure the motorhome is fairly level. If you're parked in somebody's driveway and you go stay in their house for a while, turn the refrigerator off or move it onto the street where it's fairly level. Driving down the road, you don't have to worry about it being completely level because there's going to be enough movement, but you can damage this refrigerator if you operate it for a prolonged period of time out of level. Of course, right here is just the freezer compartment. It's going to get cold first. And down here is the refrigerator compartment. On all your drawers, you just pull straight out on them. They do lock into place. So just pull straight out. Your shades are just roller shades. Pull down on it, that will release them. And pull down on it, that'll lock them into place. All these lights right here, they have the push button. Just push the button right there. That turns it on and off. All right, right here is your radio. The radio operates very simply. Just turn it on right here. You select whatever mode you want. Your volume knob is right there. It is also a DVD player, CD player. It'll go straight to the TV on that input. Other than that, right above is your antenna for your TV antenna, your onboard TV antenna. You can tune by pushing this button in right there and moving the antenna back and forth. Over here is just a smoke alarm. If it's chirping, that means that battery's going dead. All right, your sink cover needs to be stored in this position driving down the road, or you can take it off and store it in an actual cabinet, but it needs to be stored, otherwise it will rotate and fall down on the ground. Your microwave is a 110 and 110 appliance only. The only way this will operate is if you're plugged into power or if you're running the generator. Other than that, it works just like a normal microwave. There's a thermostat that controls the heating and cooling for the entire motorhome living side. So it's going to control the roof AC and the gas furnace. All right, so now for the roof AC to work, you need to be plugged up to 30 amp shore power or running the generator. Okay, the furnace will work off the batteries whether you're plugged in, running the generator or not. So it just needs battery power and propane. So the first thing you do is just turn it on right here. Right now it says it's in the off position. Hit it again, it's in fan position. So fan just going to be the roof AC. It's just going to blow air. Won't have anything to do with the temperature. It's just going to move air around. Okay, cool, just what it sounds like, is the AC on. Okay, set the temperature you want the AC to turn on and off at. And again, the 110 power has to be on. Hit it again and you'll come up with furnace here. Now furnace, again, set the temperature you want it to be. All right, and it's pretty straightforward. Do it one more time, that turns the whole system off. Now inside, the cold air is going to come out of the ceiling through these ductworks from the AC, okay? When you're using the furnace, the heat's going to come out from the floor down here. Now down here on your hood, you have your light switch, so you have a lighted work surface. Then you have a vent fan. It's going to vent to the outside. You have a stove cover that flips up right here. Just going to grab the handle, flip the stove cover back. Okay. You have a 3-burner stove right here. To operate the stove, you're just going to bring it to the light position and then rotate the igniter in the direction of the arrow right here. Now, if that's not working, do make sure your propane outside is turned on. You can also use a long lighter to light this stove. The front burner is a high output burner, so it's a little bit more adjustable than the rear burners. Alright, so here at GoRV, we don't really recommend that you use the oven for anything other than storing pots or pans. But if you do decide to use the oven, you will need that long lighter I was telling you about. To bring the burner to the pilot on position, you need to push and hold that in. While you're holding that down, you need to get that long lighter I told you about. And you're going to take it, and you're going to put the long lighter right against this burner right against this burner right here. You'll probably take about 10 to 20 seconds of holding the button down with the lighter on there, and then the burner will be ignited. Now once the pilot's lit, you'll let go of this knob. If it stays lit, you successfully lit the pilot. If it goes out, you need to repeat until you lit the pilot again. Once the pilot's lit, let's come over here to the knob, bring it to whatever temperature you want to cook at, close the door, then let it warm up. Once it's up to temperature, then you can bake like you normally would. When you're done with the oven, it's absolutely vital you bring this back to, not the pilot on position. We want you to go ahead and turn it all the way off. Don't leave the pilot on. Right here under the bed is the electrical center for the motorhome. So you'll find the 110 circuit breakers located right here. They are standard house circuit breakers. So if they trip, they'll turn off. Turn them off and back on to reset it. They are labeled right here what everything's for. Right over here are your 12-volt fuses. These are standard automotive blade type fuses. Again, it is labeled over here what everything's for. Generally, if these fuses blow, there's a little red light right next to it that'll light up, and you'll just have to replace those fuses. The lower part of this is your battery charger, so it is common for hot air to come out of here. That's normal when you're plugged into 110 power. Right, so over here by the lavatory sink, you have that GFCI outlet I was telling you about. So it's a very standard outlet that you'll see on most houses. So if the breaker's not tripped down below that I just saw you, but you don't have any power in the kitchen or the outside outlet, check this little reset button right there. You'll have to push it back in to reset it. Now here, of course, is the shower and bathroom area. So the shower has a travel lock. That's very important that you have this lock before you drive down the road. All you do is lift it up and the door is going to slide back out of the way. And of course you have your actually very roomy shower right here. Do keep in mind you only have about 10 gallons of hot water. So you'll have to moderate your hot water usage, which is what this lever right there is for. So it slows or turns off the flow of water, so you don't have to keep remixing the temperature. it is not uncommon for it still to dribble even though it's off, so don't worry about it dribbling a little bit. The toilet's very simple to operate. You have one pedal. It's located right there. To flush the toilet, you're just going to push down on the pedal. If you want to add water, push about halfway down. You also have the sprayer here. Now the sprayer is only going to spray water when you're operating the pedal. So if you need to rinse off, that's what you're going to do. Again, we at Go RV recommend only RV marine style toilet paper down the toilet, and this is where you're going to add chemicals to the black tank, just straight down the toilet right there. Now over your bed, you have your emergency exit window. If for some reason you cannot exit out the motorhome in an emergency situation through the front door, you can use this window right here. Just going to lift up on the two red handles right there and push the window open. It's going to be on a hinge, so it's not going to fall on the ground and break. But do keep in mind it is a fairly long drop, so you'll want to make sure that you don't just dive out head first. You do have a privacy curtain between the kitchen and the bedroom. It's this bifold door right here. Just unsnap that, and it's just going to slide over and snap into place right there. Do make sure that this is snapped back together before you drive down the road so it doesn't swing wildly. Now you do have a vent in the bathroom. To operate the vent, all you do is crank it open right here, right, and turn the fan on. Okay. Now this vent, sorry about that. Now this vent, along with the vent over the bed, right here, it's very important that you crank these down when you're driving down the road, or if it's raining. If it's raining, water will come through these vents. Your front vent, which is a powered vent, right up here. All right, to operate it, you just go ahead and crank it open right here. You can turn the fan on right here. It's a 4-speed fan. So you just push the button again for faster speed. Okay, you can turn the fan off right here. Now this vent actually has a cover over it. So if you were to drive down the road with this vent open, or if it's raining, rain shouldn't come in. Okay, so your dinette table will turn into a bed. So to sleep 2 children, 1 adult maybe. All right, it's very, very simple. All we're gonna do is loosen up this screw right here. With this loose, it allows this table to pivot. So if you need people to get around, it's easy to do that. But we still have to loosen that up. Remove the leg and just put this back down. Right here, underneath this cushions, you have 3 ledges. Just set the tabletop onto those ledges. You'll notice this rear seat cushion is the same shape as the tabletop. So now you can sleep somebody else right here too. Now, of course, Go RV and the manufacturer of the motorhome only recommend the seats for use driving down the road are the ones with seat belts. So you have seat belts on the dinette here. You have seat belts on this barrel chair right here. And of course, the driver's and passenger seats already have seat belts. So those are for use. Basically, nobody should be on the bed or the toilet or walking around inside driving down the road. Now, of course, to operate this barrel chair, it will swivel, okay? There's a handle located under the base right here. All you're gonna do is push it, and that'll allow the seat to swivel. Of course, this bunk also turns into a bed. Oh, I guess it is a bunk, so of course it turns into a bed. There's a cushion right here. You're just gonna move it into place right here. Now, you have a ladder extension, or a ladder itself, that has these hooks right here. They're just going to hook into these brackets right there, so you can climb up in there. There's also a child safety net right here. They have these seatbelt looking buckles. All they're going to do is go over to the wall over here. There's another buckle. They'll just snap into place there. And snap it into place right up in here. You can tighten up these straps if you need to. There's really not much to the TV. The TV requires 110 power in order to operate, so you have to be plugged in or running the generator for the TV to work. There's a knob hidden right here. You need to loosen that up, and that'll allow the TV to swing. Okay? When you're driving down the road, it's going to be very important that you have this tightened up. If it's not tight, this will swing wildly and it could hurt somebody. Now when it comes to using the TV, if you're going to be using over-the-air antenna, in this cabinet, right underneath the radio, is this outlet. There's a little button on it. There's a green light. When the green light is on, it's going to be using the over-the-air antenna. I showed you how to tune already. Now if you're hooked up to park cable on the outside, turn that green light off. In either situation, you need to go through the menu of the TV, do a set channel search on either cable TV or antenna. This is a 12-volt outlet, which is going to be very handy if you have, if you're going to be dry camping. If you can get a USB charger to charge your phone or your electronics, you can plug it into there, and it'll charge your electronics from the batteries. Otherwise, you'll have to be running 110 in order to charge your phones through these outlets here. You can also charge through this USB port right here on this radio. And there's also a 12-volt outlet, or two 12-volt outlets on the dash right here. Above the dinette, you do have these USB ports right here. You can plug in and charge up right here. So that's a great extra little feature that should work whether you're plugged in or not. Well, hi there. I'm gonna try to walk you through the driver's area real fast. It shouldn't be too foreign to you. If you can drive a car, you can drive a Class C motorhome. Now, of course, before you drive down the road, the driver is the most important safety feature in this motorhome. In fact, the driver is the only safety factor in this motorhome. It's possible to be hooked up to power, water, slide out, all the doors open, passengers walking around, shift this thing into gear and drive down the road. So the driver is the most important safety device in this entire motorhome. It's up to the driver to make sure it's safe and ready to drive. That includes the driver wearing a seatbelt. To start at the motorhome, just put the key in the ignition and start it up. When you shift into drive, you're going to be into overdrive. If you're going to be going up and down mountains a lot and you don't want to keep shifting in and out of overdrive, just put it into 4 instead. If you're coming down a mountain and you need to use lower gears, you can shift down into 2 if you need to, but you shouldn't have to. The only thing I do like to point out, don't judge your clearance by your outside fenders. Judge your clearance on turns, on your bunk areas down up high. So that's the only thing you really need to get the hang of. When you're backing up, it's always best to have a ground guide or somebody watching you back up. It's really worth taking a few minutes to back up safely rather than spending hours and hours and hours doing paperwork figuring out what happened because we hit something. All right, so we don't want to ruin your vacation here at Go RV. We want to have a good time, and we want you to have a good time. Right here is the biggest difference between the motorhome and a normal vehicle. You have a backup camera on your motorhome. So let me get out of this screen. If you are driving down the road and you want to see behind you, okay, all you have to do is hit the window button right there, or the home button. Go to AV right there and go to camera view. Now camera view will come up with the rear camera. Now even with the camera on, you can still hear the radio that's playing, okay? Of course, right here is your home button. You can select radio, CD player, memory stick or thumb drive that's hooked up right here. You can also connect with Bluetooth to your phone. When you're driving down the road, if you don't have your backup camera on, if you were to go ahead and put it in reverse, right there, the backup camera should come on. Do wait for that to come on before you start driving behind you. Okay. Also, you have side cameras. So if you turn the left turn signal on, it'll come up with the left camera. Turn the right signal on, it'll come up with the right camera. Now use all these cameras as an extra bit of safety, but don't just trust the cameras. Use your mirrors and use your eyes. Make sure everything is safe. Always look around. Now right here is your brake control for a trailer. If you're towing a vehicle with a trailer, when you apply the brakes, it'll automatically apply the trailer brakes. If you need to manually apply the trailer brakes, you're just going to hit that button or that sliding switch right there. Of course, your dash AC works just like a normal car. Okay. Now keep in mind, this just controls the dash AC, has nothing to do with the roof AC or the furnace. Right here are your power mirror controls. L for the left mirror, R for the right mirror. Right over here, that switch controls mirror heat or mirror defrost. You won't be needing this in the summer, but in the winter time, you just might. All right, well, at any rate, congratulations. That's your motorhome orientation tour. I would guess you still have a couple questions, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to give us a call here at Go RV. But this is your 26-foot 2018 Sunseeker from Go RV. Thanks a lot and enjoy your trip. Have a lot of fun.